Hi there and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about supermarkets in Portugal and which supermarket offers the best value proposition to consumers. This is a topic which is really so much fun because although supermarkets would strike a lot of people as a boring topic, not to the Portuguese. If you go on Portuguese Reddit and search for the best supermarket in Portugal, you will find multiple threads full of vitriol and tribalism, people attacking supermarkets, defending, their choice of supermarket, making all kinds of funny remarks and criticisms. It really is great. And I will attach links in the description to a couple of my favorites. I really think it's worth a read. You can just hit Google Translate if you want to, and you will get a lot of insight into the environment of supermarkets in Portugal through reading that and learn what the locals actually think. Anyway, what I will attempt to do in this video is kind of condense the information contained on those pages, as well as give my own point of view about which supermarket I think is the best and which one has the best discounts. So without further ado, let's jump in. So just taking a very brief look at the ranking, which thousands of Portuguese apparently voted on. This was a YouTube video that was done by a very popular Portuguese YouTuber looking into this topic. You can see Mercadona ranked very, very highly. Continental Lidl did very well. Pingo was okay. And some didn't do too well, like Oron and Intermar, not very satisfied basically for Intermarché, and a little satisfied with Aldi and Oron. So that was one. And the comments on some of these are just absolutely hilarious. This one, the Continent took a chance on the teacher to get that grade. I just think that's absolutely fantastic. And you just have people really ridiculing the supermarkets here, like saying stuff like the discounts are a scam, that kind of stuff. It's really worth having a look at what people have written because it can give you some insight into what people in Portugal really think of the supermarkets here. The second survey here, this is just basically which supermarket do you recommend for shopping based on quality and price. You can see that Lidl and Aldi did very well here, but it's kind of unfair that they were grouped together. Mercadona and Continent also did pretty well. Sweet Drop is Pingo if you translate it back into Portuguese, but this is in English. And just taking a look at the comments, you'll get again a lot of insight into what people value in the supermarket and the points that they think are better about each one. So first up on our list, and very, very popular with many Portuguese people, is in fact Lidl, the German supermarket chain, or we can say discount retailer. The thing is, in Portugal, it's not that cheap, at least not in my experience anyway. I always thought from when I lived in the UK that Lidl was like definitely a step down from Sainsbury's and Tesco and so on, and you could expect lower prices. But in Portugal, not really. When I go to Lidl, I don't find that it's got amazingly low prices. Several Portuguese people in the comments mentioned that overall, if they do their shop in Lidl versus doing it in Continent or Pingo Doce, they save a few euros in Lidl. That may be the case, but that would be without discounts usually. One bad point about Lidl that many people point out are, of course, the queues. They don't have self-service checkouts, and whenever you go to Lidl or indeed Aldi, which is thrown in with Lidl in one of these surveys, there are queues like 6, 7, 8 people. It's quite frequent to find that. Most people aren't buying a lot, but then you still have to wait for all the transactions to process. Another thing with Lidl is it doesn't have a great range of products. Although the products that they do have, especially their own label products, win high marks from many Portuguese consumers. The one defect that many people point out is that Lidl and indeed Aldi don't have like fresh meat and fish sections, which are dear to the heart of many Portuguese consumers, obviously, and therefore they can't buy them there, so they don't like it. Lidl is perhaps the choice for people who want a no-nonsense supermarket. It's no frills, and it's also, apart from the discounts that they offer through the app, which are kind of personalized, they don't go in for like heavy promotions and the kind of things that, for example, you will see in Continent or Pingo Doce, where you get like 15% off throughout the store and stuff. You're not going to meet that in Lidl. It's quite a simple place to shop. But on the other hand, you don't get the range. One thing that I personally found in Lidl is that they just don't have a wide variety of products, and I can't imagine that that's the primary supermarket for most people, because for us, they just don't have the products that we're looking for often, and we have to go and seek them elsewhere. In both of the surveys, Lidl did very well. People are very satisfied with it apparently, and a lot of people voted for it as their preferred retailer, so they must be doing something right. Next up, let's talk about Mercadona. It's a Spanish retailer and a fairly new entrant into the Portuguese supermarket space. I'm not sure how long they've been here, maybe a couple of years. The nearest store to me is in Figueira da Foz, and they're opening a couple in Coimbra. They're still under construction, haven't opened yet. I've been there and I thought, well, yeah, it's fresh. What I mean by that is it's a new supermarket. It's newly constructed, newly opened. Everything looks pristine. The aisles are wide. The merchandising is great, in terms of the layout and stuff. It's quite impressive, and I think that's reflected in the comments of a lot of Portuguese consumers. They like the atmosphere in Mercadona. It's also praised for its lack of flashy promotions and for the fact that there are seldom any queues in Mercadona. It's quite easy to get in and out of. Other praise comes from people who say that the quality of the meat and fish there is high, and that the prices for things like detergents and shampoos is much, much lower than what you would find in places like Continent or Lidl or Pingo Doce. So Mercadona, it does tend to have a lot of satisfaction, and it is reflected in the survey. However, it's not really a viable choice for everybody, especially if you're living in maybe rural areas of Portugal. There's unlikely to be a Mercadona near you. Oron was a supermarket chain that didn't really get very good marks in one of the surveys anyway, and wasn't really that popular in the other one either. People were like a little satisfied with it, or less satisfied than they would like to be. Basically, with Oron, it's a French brand obviously, and it's a place that doesn't really offer promotions and discounts, but it tends to offer lower prices compared to Continent, for example. That's my own personal experience. The range in Oron is also very good. The stores tend to be big, at least the one that I've been to in Coimbra and also the one in Figueira da Foz. They're both quite sizable, so you do get the range, and that's comparable with, for example, what you would find in Continent in terms of range. Continent is basically maybe a little bit better. So Oron, it has self-service checkouts as well, so you don't have to worry about queues so much if you don't like them. There's a lot to like about Oron, but it just doesn't really get very much love from the Portuguese. I really don't know why. I guess it's not a very glamorous choice. It doesn't seem to do a lot of advertising like you see for Continent and Pingo Doce, or even some of the others like Lidl. It's an option, and it could be a good one for you, but it didn't rate very highly in these surveys. Moving on to talk about Intermar. Now, this is getting more into the realm of like local supermarkets in rural areas. Intermar exists in cities, of course, as well, but I think in smaller towns it's more present. There's a lot of dissatisfaction with Intermar in the survey, and there's also people who are saying they seldom use it, or they would only use it if they were forced to, something like that. My experience with Intermar is we do have one locally, and I wouldn't go there for my regular shop, but we do go there for vegetables, because we found that the fruit and veg there is actually pretty good and pretty fresh, also pretty cheap compared to the prices and the quality in the local Pingo Doce. So, I think that you might have to go to one supermarket for some things and other supermarkets for others. That's very possible. Intermarché also have a fuel station where you can buy petrol or gasoline. and they offer some of the lowest prices in Portugal. The quality of the gasoline, in my opinion, is identical. It doesn't matter whether you go to BP, which is very expensive, or Galp, which is also very expensive, or to somewhere like Oron or Intermar, which offer more cut price gasoline. You know, the quality has been tested by various people in Portugal and no differences have been found. So I think if you want to pay more money for a premium gasoline, that may be a little bit of a foolish thing to do, but it's up to you. Anyway, on the first Wednesday of every month, Intermar offer a discount of if you buy 40 euros worth of gasoline, which is fairly easy to do at current prices, then they will give you 6 euros to spend in store running from the following day, which is basically a 15% discount for something you need, gasoline. You know, and it's already cheap gasoline, you know, it's not expensive gasoline anyway, and you're getting a further 15% off that. I think that's pretty good. Occasionally also Intermar offer a 25% discount on everything in the shop. That's good enough to attract me when I go there. Basically the promotion is if you spend 50 euros and you have the Intermar card, then they will give you this 25% off. But the catch is, and I really do think it's an intentional catch, that you have to spend it next month. You know, it's like 20 days or 25 days after the initial purchase, then you can spend the money. I think it's fair to say a lot of people might forget about that. So I don't really love that promotion, but I'm not the kind of person that will forget, so it's fine for me. Moving on to the final two supermarkets, let's start with Continent. Now, Continent has a lot of supporters and a lot of haters on Reddit in Portugal. In the survey that declared Continent as being in the quite satisfied category or satisfied enough category, there was a bit of an outcry about that. A lot of people saying the Continent must have paid, you know, they paid to sponsor it or something. I don't know about that. It's probably false, but you know, Continent has a lot of lovers and a lot of haters. What I can say about it is that it does have the best variety overall of any of the supermarket choices in Portugal. If you go to a Continent hypermarket, one of the big ones, you're going to find, you know, the maximum selection that you can in Portugal, and most products will be obtainable there. Prices, I think it does, in my opinion, tend to be a little bit more expensive than some of the competition, but that's just my opinion. I think you also have to be careful about some of the promotions that you see in Continent and also Pingo. They have a habit of like having permanent discounts. I'm not sure how that's possible, but for example, things like detergent, laundry detergent. The original price is declared to be something like 18 or 20, and the current price, the promotional price, is 10. But the point is, it's always on discount. You know, it's been on discount for the past 3 years. I just really fail to understand that. And another thing is sometimes the discounts don't work at the checkout. And the prices that are shown, occasionally there are problems. And this is something that has happened to me as a consumer. Like, I have personal experience of being charged the wrong price in Continent several times and promotions not working. So you really have to be careful with the promotions that you see there and kind of evaluate, like, not just the discount that you're apparently seeing, but is this a fair price compared to what you've paid historically and paid in other places before you decide whether this is something that you should take advantage of. Continent also has self-service checkouts, and it offers home delivery online, which is something that I see many young people online engaging with, is the online delivery. I have no experience of that, so I can't speak about it, but people say broadly positive things about the online delivery from Continent. One thing about Continent is that they have an app and a card, which is Cartão Continent, and when you get the app anyway, it's easy to see all of the discounts that they have available. Generally speaking, every weekend they run some kind of discount. It might be 10% off all of the value of your purchases, or 15%, or €5 if you spend €20 or something like that. And it will be sent to you via text message and app notification on like Thursday or Friday of every week. Personally speaking, I don't like the 10% and 15% discounts because they're time limited and I don't have a continent super close to me, which means I have to make multiple trips in a short time frame. I prefer the spend 20, get €5 because it's a higher level of discount, 25%. And if you take two people to the supermarket, my wife and I, for example, we can each spend 20 and we can basically get €10. So it's a 25% saving, which doesn't expire. Now, Continent also offer a partnership program with Galp, whereby they give coupons so that you can get like 15 cents per litre off of Galp petrol or gasoline. However, you have to remember that the prices that you're going to see for Galp gasoline are just more expensive than the competition anyway. They're more expensive than the Intermarché or Oron gasoline. So even if you get a discount of 15 cents a litre, you're still paying more than you really had to. Unless, of course, you believe that Galp gasoline is somehow superior, which personally I do not. And that discount of 15 cents a litre, again, it's not something you get cash in hand. It's something that goes on your Continent card and you have to spend it within a week in a Continent store. So they're kind of recycling your saving back into spending in Continent, which, remember, has a reputation for being slightly more expensive than many other supermarkets and therefore might not really be offering you true value. But the €5 for spending €20, I like that one and I think it's worth doing if you get the chance. Finally, I want to mention Pingo. It's the supermarket I use most often. Now, I'm not a big fan of it for the quality of the produce always. There are some things that sometimes look a little bit old there, and Intermarché does offer probably fresher produce and at lower prices, so I have a tendency to go there. But Pingo is not a bad supermarket. I think it varies from place to place. Some of the supermarkets of Pingo are very old, and therefore they come in for some criticism from Portuguese people. It ranked a bit lower than Continent in the survey, both in terms of the number of people who selected it as their primary supermarket and in terms of the fact that it was just ranked as satisfied or satisfactory as opposed to Continent, which was quite good. I don't know why that is. I think that Pingo is decent. My criticisms of Pingo would be that the stores are smaller, so the range is more limited. Slightly better than Lidl, I feel, but limited. And they don't offer self-service checkouts, so queues can be a problem, but they tend not to be such an issue as you would find in Lidl or Aldi. The same kind of fake promotion, or let's call it alleged fake promotion, that exists in Continent also exists in Pingo. I mean, you have these kind of things which are on perpetual discount. They've been on discount for years. Like there's a bottle of wine, I know it's on discount from €4 to €2. I have no idea when it was ever €4. The same for laundry detergent as in Continent. You have to be careful both with the promotions and carefully think about whether or not these are decent. And also with price accuracy. I have been charged the wrong price in Pingo on maybe 5 or 6 occasions, including linked to promotions. Another thing is they do a lot of cross-merchandising in Pingo, which what we can call as gap filling. I used to work in a supermarket in the UK in my student days when I was at university, and no supermarket likes gaps. You want to fill the gaps so the supermarket looks better, it looks fuller. So what you should do, at least in the UK, is when you fill a gap, you will cover the price tag and the indicator tag label for the product which is sold out, and then you can fill it with something else. Now in Portugal they don't usually do this. In Pingo they definitely don't usually do that, at least in my local Pingo. And what you will find is that they just stuff things on the shelf in the wrong places, and sometimes the things are of the same brand or similar products. Like it might be a 500ml bottle that they've merchandised in the space for the 250ml bottle that was on promotion and sold out, and they just shoved it in there, and you're seeing a price like $3.99 and you think, oh, that's not bad, and you get to the checkout and you find out it costs more and you actually got less or something. It's happened numerous occasions. In one instance, it took like almost an hour to resolve And finally, I did get the thing for the price that was advertised. That was a promotion though, and it involved like a 2-for-1 kind of deal. One great thing about Pingo Doce is the cafeteria though. I will make no secret of the fact that I am not a huge fan of Portuguese food. And whenever I go to a Portuguese restaurant, it's really hit and miss and more on the miss. However, Pingo Doce has a decent cafeteria. It is a supermarket cafeteria, so don't expect Michelin star quality, but it is cheap. 2 people can eat for 10-12 euros, getting a meal with, for example, a main dish, vegetables and rice or potatoes or something like that. And the portions are quite generous, at least in my area. And the quality is all right. The taste and flavour are decent. I would compare Pingo Doce favourably with a lot of Portuguese restaurants that I've been to, and also a lot of, for example, pastelaria that serve lunch, for example. In Coimbra, I often went to a pastelaria for lunch near the university when I was in the University of Coimbra, and I think Pingo Doce is far better. I remember when I was looking for houses with my real estate agent, he said, he's traveling the country all the time. Whenever he needs to eat something, he would just go to a Pingo Doce because he knows the quality will be decent and the price won't be that bad. So it's something to consider. Finally, talking about Pingo Doce, something that sets it apart from all the other supermarkets, in my opinion, and makes it probably the best choice in my main supermarket is the promotion there. Now, a couple of times a month, for holders of the Pingo Doce Poupa Mais card, which is like Save More card, it's one of these supermarket cards, and it also has an accompanying app which you need to download and tether to your card. Once you've done all that, you'll be able to take advantage of the numerous discounts that this supermarket has. And they're all variations on the theme of buy a certain amount and save a certain amount. Some of them are very attractive, others less so. But for me to think a discount is good in a supermarket, it really has to be above 25%. So at the end of the month and also at the beginning of the month, in my area at least, Pingo Doce run a very good promotion, which is if you spend 100 euros, you can receive 20 euros in discount on your Pingo Doce card to spend the following week, and an additional 20 euros, so 40 euros in total, to spend at BP on fuel. Now, for people who have a car and need fuel, or for people who believe BP has the best fuel, which I don't, you can use this to save quite a lot of money. In my own case, I don't drive a lot, and for the past 3 or 4 months, I haven't paid to put any fuel in the car, simply because I've got all the fuel from this Pingo Doce promotion. At the beginning of the month, you go there, spend 100. At the end of the month, you go there, spend 100. In the intervening weeks, you probably spend less, simply because you've got the 20 euro voucher from the previous week. That's the way it tends to work for us. And in addition to that, you've got the savings on fuel. So it's essentially a 40% discount that you can take advantage of. The catch is, though, that you have to spend 100 in one go. And for some people, that might be really, really easy. For me, it's a bit of a challenge because we tend to do everything at home. We like to buy things fresh. So a couple of times a week, we will go to a supermarket or the local grocer or something. And it can be a challenge to even get to 100. So I find myself buying a lot of non-food, non-perishable things like laundry detergent in bulk in order to get to 100. But that's my own problem. I understand that. I have taken advantage of this promotion numerous times without issue. There are some exclusions which I will list here, but I don't think that they're going to interfere with most people's ability to use the promotion. Now, during the middle of the month, they tend to offer kind of less good variants of this, like spend 50, get 10 euros in Pingo Doce, or spend 100, get 15 in Pingo Doce and 15 in BP. These are all variations of it. I don't go for them. I don't think they're good enough, and I don't need any more fuel in BP because I've already got all the fuel I want from the 2020 promotion at the beginning and end of the month. So, I really do think that Pingo Doce on this, specifically for this spend 100, get 40, I think it's the best promotion of any supermarket in Portugal, and I take advantage of it. I know many of my neighbours think it's too complicated, or they they just can't be bothered, having to go on a certain day to make the purchases, because these promotions only run at weekends, sometimes just on Saturday, sometimes Saturday and Sunday. But for me, I definitely think it's worth it, because it can take 40% out of my expenditure on food and gasoline. So in my case, the winner is Pingo Doce. I don't think that's going to lay the debate to rest amongst the Portuguese people. Mercadona and Lidl have many, many fans, as do other supermarkets. Obviously, to a certain extent, the supermarket which is best for you would be the closest one, the one that's most convenient in your area. So there's that factor to consider as well. Anyway, I hope this video has been helpful and people are maybe a little bit more educated about the opinions of Portuguese about their own supermarkets, and especially which discounts are available and are best. So thank you very much for watching the video, and I'll see you soon, I hope, in the next one.